Not a two. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful conversation with the Sip and Chat crew. Daryl is being a timekeeper already. And we love him for that. Everybody has their special niche in the conversation. And right now he's the timekeeper. How you doing, Daryl?
I'm doing fine.
You're
Welcome,
not still
everybody.
in the workout studio. What happened?
It's another wonderful Friday. I'm not where?
You're not in the workout studio.
It's always where I am. I've been moved from that place.
Goodness. Doc, how you
I'm
doing?
just saying. How you doing, Doc?
I'm good. I am good tonight.
How was your week?
It was pretty good.
Good.
Tiring, but it was okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing, nothing to shake things up, which is always nice.
Not even the fake snow day? I mean,
Um,
not a snow day for you, but I'm just
yeah, it doesn't really affect me.
right.
So, not at all.
Okay. We got welcome our guest voice again. Terrence is still rocking it out and hanging out with us. Terrence, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How y'all?
Good.
We good. You sure you
Lord,
wonderful? You hesitant?
I'm a little tired. I had a death in the family. I just came from a funeral. So
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
yeah,
sorry to hear that.
I'm
Thanks
good.
for
What's
still
up,
joining
D?
us.
What up, T? How you feeling, man?
I'm all right.
Y'all on
Yeah, we
initials.
here, right?
Yeah, I had to, I took something from last week when D was talking about that West Side. So I put on my blood colors
Oh,
on for the day.
Oh, wow.
that was in a
Brotherly
good room
love
though, right?
overrides, overcomes destruction.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy. Okay. We
Oh,
see you tonight. We see you. We see you where you coming in, and you got the red juice too.
West Side.
Oh my goodness. Not the west side. Not the west side. Hey Camp, just in time for checking in. How you doing? How's your week?
Week has been busy, but good.
Okay, congratulations on your cert.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Did you get your cheddar bay biscuits?
On,
Get out of what?
Did you get your cheddar bay biscuits?
I might later.
Okay. What was you going to say, Daryl?
congratulations on what? I couldn't hear.
She's dually certified now between Texas and PA as an educator.
Let's
That's
go.
how I understand it. It could be
Congratulations.
something.
Yeah, I'm permanently certified here for the last over 15 years, but in Texas recently.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Congrats.
Yeah, we know that doesn't come easy. So we're gonna jump right into it. I don't know what happened to Doc. I'm sure she'll be here shortly. We are remixing last week's conversation because we got to a certain point and we just couldn't put the lid on top of the cup because we kind of opened up some spices and was putting the mix in the kitchen, making up a new cake and stuff like that. And so we on the remix part 2. And in the remix part 2, we are chatting it up about the unwanted consensual sex. Like, what is self-worth? Like, what is your worth? What is your worth and value when you come into a relationship? How do you see your worth in the workplace? And in all ways. And like, I think one of the questions that came up last week, actually, I know, was the gender differences on how individuals learn their value and they learn their worth and they learn their roles and things that they're expected to. So we want to unravel the unravel that happens in our relationships. That makes sense?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yep.
So I wanted Doc, so I guess we'll have to wait until she kind of comes back, but maybe Daryl remembers in his wonderful memory that he has. Daryl, can you peel back like what is the unwanted consensual sex from the perspective that we shared last week? Because some people were like, that's an oxymoron.
Right. So it would be some instances it would be to save a relationship. You feel like I don't really want to do it. I'm not maybe a fool, but he may leave me if I don't. So I'm going to do it. Like you consent to do it, but really your heart is into it. You're not really there. It's that here, take it type of attitude, or I'm going to kind of lay here, let you do your business because I want to save the relationship, or the bills need to get paid. He may leave me, or it could be a situation where you go home with someone and you actually I just heard a story like this where someone went home with someone and felt obligated to do it since they went home with them. They felt like, well, I came here, I know I shouldn't have came here. He's expecting it, so now I'm going to do it. Now again, remember, it's not that they are consenting, but it's like not being in the mood and consenting, doing it for any other reason other than you really want to do it. You want this person. That's kind of where we are. And then on the flip side, for men, we had some things as far as they said usually younger men, but I think older men as well, where maybe you may do something, like have sex with a woman to show your macho, to show your boys, like I'm gonna go down. And you may not really be that person, may necessarily want to do it with that person, but you do it. Or if you're a wingman, like, I take one for the team, like,
right.
Oh boy, I'm take down Bertha. I don't want to, but I'll do it.
Why does her name be Bertha?
Something sounding super unattractive. So it's in that realm. It's definitely, they are consenting, but it's usually for other reasons than they really want to have that sexual interaction at the time.
Right. So, Terrence, I want to throw it to your way, because I know that there were additional conversations that you also had after last week with some people that you came across, and it was just like, okay, this is twisted. Like, how y'all really making this flow like this? So, anything you want to add to what Daryl said?
Well, generally speaking, it was coming from men. Men couldn't understand that concept because they scared of the unwanted. Like, if a woman say no, that means no. And what can come from that? And things don't work out too well for males after we say no and you still try to force it on towards her. But I did hear a story this week. I had a friend of mine who told me that he was in high school, and he brought a young lady over to the house after school. They was kissing and all that. He tried. She said no. He stopped. She gets home. She calls him up and she says, well, why you ain't continue? I wanted to, but I just didn't want to come off like I was easy.
Right. That part.
And that's where it gets confusing, but
exactly.
It wasn't confusing to him, and he did the right thing. All that call me later saying whatever, because if he had kept going, call later may have been you raped me, right? So when in doubt, when you know, that be no. Let your nose be nose, your yes is yes. And even if you got to talk to my enemy after 80 times, I don't believe she really wanted to do it. I think
but let me ask you.
I would agree with
you wore her down. You wore her down. You're not getting her the best, right? At 80 times, you're getting here. Take it.
Right. So what happens the next time then? If you put in the same position, if you get in that same position and the woman tell him no after they kissing and rubbing, he gonna be like, oh no, she don't really mean it. Let me go a little further.
Right.
That's where the confusion comes in.
Jail. That happens next time. It's called jail.
No, I'm not saying the next time with the same woman. Another time with another person.
Yeah, jail with her. Jail. Anytime she doesn't know and you go past that, you're flirting with jail. You know what I mean? Because her no may really be no. She may not be point. So you have to make sure if they say no, shut it down.
We got some feedback. I'm not sure from where it's coming from.
I kind of hear it too.
And it seems like when you're speaking, Daryl, and we want to hear everything that you're saying.
Oh, so it's me. There we go.
No, it's good now. It's good now. It went away. Whatever button you pushed over there on that lovely keyboard.
Hey, listen. got love right. So the thing for men would be, or even a woman, if someone says no, you just stop there. If they want to play games and want your no to be whatever, you let them do their own, because you don't want to ever be in a position where they say no, you say no, yes, and you continue, and now you're, it does explain what you thought, and it may not turn out right. So,
so ladies, why do y'all play those games?
Okay, so before we jump there, Terrence, before we go there, because that'd be taking a toll and all this other type of stuff and jumping the gun. Doc, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Had some technical difficulties, guys.
That's the life we live in. That's the life we live in.
I know.
I had to throw the baton to Daryl. Daryl rocked it out.
All right, thank you. Yes, yes.
He did give a perspective in regards to like what this unwanted consensual sex is, as well as like, I guess answering the question around it being an oxymoron. But you have encountered some spaces where it's probably some more technical terms. Did you want to share those? Like, I don't know. As you came in, he was sharing examples, so the examples were valid, but I don't know if you want to add to it.
Okay, well, I didn't hear what he said, so.
No, I'm not.
I don't know. I can't think of. All right. I'll talk about some of the most prevalent reasons.
Okay. Or how it happened. The misunderstandings. Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, not the misunderstandings, but the reasons why this may happen. So there was a small study where they surveyed some women about why they're having consensual unwanted sex. And the highest number was the fear that the partner would get angry if they say no. Okay. Wow. So that's the highest number.
We got them on.
Angry in what way?
Like angry to harm them, or just angry in general?
No, just get mad. Just get mad that that they said no. Gotcha. And I mean, I'm sure you can imagine the different types of forms that might take. It could, not speaking to you for a couple days, or storming out the rooms, stomping around the house, slamming things.
So they're doing it to keep peace in the home.
Peace, yes, peace.
They're giving a piece to keep peace.
I mean, that's a great way to put it. I mean,
right.
A piece of a piece.
A piece of a piece. Go ahead, Doc.
In this study, they said that some of the factors associated with unwanted sex includes having a baby with the partner, lower relationship quality, lack of sexual control, less condom use, and partner marijuana use. I'm not sure what that has to do with it, the partner's drug use. But
they may not be able to give full consent because if they are under the influence. I know in other conversations when we are talking about, I guess, like rape or something like that, if someone was under the influence and they would consider it that, but this is a different scenario in how it comes to play.
Marijuana, one that impairs you so much that it's a marijuana use, correct?
Marijuana use, yes.
Marijuana. So we're not talking about alcohol. It's marijuana. Is marijuana one that really makes you...
How is it delivered is probably the question. Like, how is the delivery method of the marijuana would question intoxication level or not?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I don't know. I don't marijuana. I've never seen anybody ramming off marijuana. I know. It's like, here, give me that. Give me one. I haven't seen that to be the case. So marijuana, I know you out. But like, hey,
puff pass.
So, and one of the other things that was mentioned was that it's not just women, and I know we brought that up before. We talked about it last week, but some of the main reason that men might do it is to conform to gender expectations or to avoid uncomfortable interactions.
I can see that.
Right. Like I said, we to show we're masculine, we take my down, or instead of being the wingman, we take the friend down for the friend. I got Bertha.
Mm-hmm.
But I got
Doc, we don't know why he keep calling her Bertha.
I don't know. Yeah.
on a name, so we're gonna use that. The name of the
Okay.
I hope that there's no Berthas listening. We don't mean any harm. It's just
no harm.
conversation for education and entertainment.
Me too. I hope it's not either. You got a problem with it? Talk it up to parents.
So my question is for guys, what does it take to not care if someone is going to have a negative thought about you if you don't have sex with them, or your boys are going to have a negative thought about you if you don't take Bertha down?
No, Bertha.
Does it take high self-esteem? Does it take, what does it take?
Well, sometimes maybe outside your boys or whoever, sometimes it's just you. You feel like a man, and you're like, I got to take this down. So sometimes it's you versus you. Not even it's societal norms who are putting you into. You have to do this. Like
so if it's the norm is if it's offered, you must take it.
Right. Like I mean, even they even if you think about men, they take anything. They'll put the dick in anything. So that's kind of the norm. And it's funny because it really rolls out when there's times I didn't try to have sex with a girl and she's like gay. So she's almost sprung to the norm. Like if you don't jump on me the first time, if you don't wrestle that first night, there's something wrong with you. Like you're not even trying. What's wrong with you? Like being respectful and trying to be respectful that first night is their problem. Hey.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing you too, Darren.
That's been the theme of the evening, Terrence. Now we can't hear you. Now you whispering. You whispering from the back.
I'm trying to fix this level.
Okay. Because see, people really want to hear what you got to say because it's important.
Yeah.
Because it is. I mean, I would want to hear me too. Can you hear me? Is it feedback? I don't know.
Let us know in the comments if it's still feedback. He's going to try to drop his dimes and nickels.
Very difficult to sound check.
So I heard some of what Daryl was saying about it being mostly internal. Like, what are you going to think about?
It can be.
Okay.
If when we start dealing with societal norms, we're supposed to get it. It seems like we're taught to take. Man supposed to get. If a girl offers it and you don't take it, like I've been in a situation where we're trying to explore and they're like, "What, he gay? You didn't try anything." So that also perpetuates that norm. So then you feel like you have to do it sometimes, just so they don't feel or say those things. You may not be ready to take that, but you're going to do it just out of fear of them having the thoughts about
you.
Okay, so somebody want to restate what he said? Because I couldn't.
I'm logging off. I'm out.
No, you gotta come back. So Terrence, you were remixing it and jumping into another aspect of it. Did you wanna change that up? Did you want to ask it now while we wait for Daryl to figure out his stuff?
Yes, I mean, I don't really have too much thought about that, but mine was about the self-worth. What's that about? Especially when it comes from women. I seen a whole lot of women that was wildly inaccurate with their self-worth. I mean, I've heard women that had not working, welfare, 3-4 children, 3 different baby daddies, and thinking about a man need to treat me like this. And it gets to a point like when you start holding some accountability. why should that man just automatically treat you in a certain way, like the way you're valuing yourself on what you did? When you know, I got a major problem with that.
Camp, what you think?
I just think, well, okay, so when you mentioned the several baby daddies, I'm just blessed to have one husband, one baby daddy. However, since I'm a product from that, it caused a lot of turmoil. But sometimes the situation is your situation. Sometimes you have a teenage pregnancy. Sometimes you find love later in life, and you have kids by that person that who may become your husband or not, or your life partner. So I think we're, as young women growing up, I think we're misconstrued of how we find our self-worth. Like coming from a southern state, it's all tied up into sex, how we dress, how we look. But I think your self-worth is how you feel about yourself, the inside. Sometimes you're just a product of your environment. That's not an excuse, but the accountability, I see women who were welfare moms get up and work every day and still can't provide. They do their best. They take something out of nothing to care for their kids and do what they can. They would love to be loved, but they can't because the love they have, they're giving it to their kids. So their self-worth is the family they have built. So I'm in a different situation. That's not my life. But I think my self-worth when I was growing up was tied into, oh, I'm going to make sure I'm going to have one baby daddy, not 3 or 4, no matter what the situation is. Right, however, I've been blessed and prayerfully I've been blessed to have someone where I'm not in the situation to be treated as such, as something different. However, I think that geared me to a certain way, to act a certain way, to be a certain way for other people, and not how I felt about myself, but what the church said, what the family would snicker and talk about. Oh, is he the daddy of all the kids? I'm just saying, self-worth is more than just that. Because if that's the case, if that's the self-worth we're putting on females, what about guys? Y'all say your wild oats all over the place. Not every guy, but many does. So is that part of your self-worth?
See, but I think more men is more, we more truthful. Like we already know if I'm not working, most men, I know if I ain't working and I don't have no money, I know I can't try to talk to a young lady who's a doctor.
I get it.
I feel like that's out of my league. But flipping the script, a woman, and the example that I gave, she would think that she can get that doctor.
Yeah, I don't see why she couldn't.
Yeah, she should be able to.
I didn't say that she couldn't. I'm just saying that you see how
it sound like Gucci games all over again. First
right.
show,
That's what I'm saying.
But just following up what Camp was saying, a lot of times we are taught that our value lies in being sexually attractive.
Exactly.
From the time that we're selecting a hairstyle, our makeup, our outfit, we pose with our butt to the camera versus our face to the camera. Like everything
men
is
are
defined.
Visual though. But men are visual, so maybe y'all trying to cheat.
But self-worth shouldn't be for a man. I'm sorry.
Self-worth should be your individual value of yourself.
Exactly.
Right. But when we're taught about our value lying in our sexual attractiveness, we're also saying that men are more important than our own needs a lot of times.
That's true.
I agree that too.
That creates permission for that unwanted consensual situation.
I know.
To serve the man, we got to get up and make his plate. We got to make sure, like all these rules and expectations that come into how the narrative is shaped at a very early age for
very early.
Yes, for
from telling this little girl how pretty she is. Oh, look at you! You're gonna be a heartbreaker. Oh, look at her! She's so cute. Dance for the family. That kind of stuff.
And it don't care how you dance, because even if you're dancing, I'm sorry, Daryl, if your dancing is suggestive, it doesn't. Culturally, that looks different for every culture.
Yes.
But still, it doesn't. It's not judged until now. That's the cues in which you learned how to gain your value and your personal self-worth.
And you're taught that it's okay for people to comment on your sexuality.
True.
About to, and also if they don't.
Say that again, Daryl.
Also, if they
he
don't.
said if they don't comment on your sexuality.
Then you gotta go home and redo the script and say this wasn't the right outfit, throw this in the trash. Let me go figure something else out, or let me figure out some different words that's going to intrigue this one person who I want to get their attention. And it's like you're doing so much work to get the engagement of the other person that you lose sight of who you are and what you stand for and what you mean.
Also, you should perm your hair. You should relax your hair. Maybe if you wore some eyeliner or did something else with yourself, maybe you'd be more.
You said changing your clothes and all that. What happened to just approaching a man?
What do you mean? That's a loaded statement. Just approaching a man. What do you mean by that?
I mean, just to approach and start conversation with him. I thought I heard somebody say, I'm gonna go home and change my outfit and try something else and see if I catch his eye.
You're gonna throw the whole outfit out, or just like Yolanda is saying, you were told you should never be broke as long as you have your gym.
And you lose that control over your body in that way. It's not internal, it's all external.
In what way?
In the way that we're talking about, all these things of putting your value outside of yourself.
Right.
So it becomes perception versus reality. And the reality that you live with or you have been molded into believing and valuing becomes how you act, how you operate in life, like how you draw attention to yourself. Or when somebody shows you attention, then you're like, okay, well, this must be the way in which I'm supposed to act because this is how I understand my value, how I understand what makes them want to be around me. So I have to do more of that it seems like it's almost impeding on the voice that you could independently have and independently decide how it is that you choose to live in this life. So it's like if you're unable to like really have a clear foundation, that you might have to turn off the noise of how you was raised and shape your new voice, like that's going to be constant work. Otherwise, you're going to say that again.
I was just saying, it just impedes your growth overall as a person.
Okay. It does. It does.
You see that?
I do. Go ahead. Continue.
Strange.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's very strange.
Only from YouTube do we receive that type of attention. So the man, that threw me off. So when we think about like the value and then also the consent, like how do we gain mutual consent? Like, do we independently have our own voice, or are we always in a compromising situation of not knowing and possibly getting tricked up?
I think we do have our own voice. Now, if you're talking about a man and a woman trying to get together, I think one thing that's missing is people always say it all the time and say we need to be friends first. I don't think people actually do that. So I think that will help with the mutual saying, come on, let's do this together. For one, if we friends, whatever, we become comfortable. So it'll be easier to talk to that person. And then even if somebody say no, the rejection shouldn't bother you as much because we still what? We still friends. I don't think
that depends. That depends on if developing the friendship had hidden intentions, and then now you got to this place and you reject me. Then it's like, okay, wait, the person who is doing the rejecting, not receiving, who's saying, no, we're not about that life, we're not going there, could also flip the script and say, okay, well, yeah, I have been kicking it with them, I haven't spent a lot of time, I might as well.
Well, they're not trusting in the friendship then.
I think sometimes you can trust a friendship, but people have, like Mary said, hidden agendas and intentions. So sometimes the best of the friendships, you may think it's going well, and it could be, but they may think they still have a chance. I don't care how many times you say no, and then that one time they can slip up and they go left because they're like, "What you mean?"
Mm-hmm.
I said what I said. So the
Yeah.
expectations have to be real clear, and you have to define stuff at the beginning and really communicate, because you can say, I've seen people, you can say no, man or woman, no, 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 or a partner, whoever, and they still in their head think they have, like, they still thinking, I can
It's still
change
a
that. Yes, yes,
possibility.
yes, yes, yes.
Well, I mean, I
But
see that with men all day
how
because
many of those situations where that's my little sister, that's my big brother,
Mm-hmm.
all the while the intention is for it to be something else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think men do that as much. I don't see that.
I do.
I
Really?
do. I
So
do too.
Really? Y'all experience stuff like that?
I'm
A
not trying to
man
be
be
yes,
funny. I
judging?
see it all the time.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
where
ask
you
Daryl
you
this.
I
could
see
be
it from both
extremely
sides,
clear.
though.
You could be
Ask
extremely
Daryl that.
clear on the intentions of a trip,
Right. We
and
talked about this.
yes, we in the green room we did speak about this. You can have your clear intentions in regards to what the purpose of the trip, what the boundaries of the trip can
What?
be,
What?
Hold
Ain't
up.
no
and
Ask
boundaries.
Daryl that.
Ain't no boundaries.
there are boundaries. Not in your
No.
world,
Fred,
is
I'm
not.
Fred. Fred, I'm listening. Okay.
Hey, Daryl.
Right. Okay.
So,
Fred, I'm listening.
Daryl, if you was talking to a young lady and you consider
Right.
her like your little sister or your big sister, do you think in the back of your mind you be having some inquiries of having sex with her if you gave her
Absolutely.
that title?
Absolutely.
Huh?
Exactly.
I have
Thank you.
I've taken down many of my little sisters. Actually, they were my little sisters because I was taking them down. I'm just, I'm
Thank
saying. I'm
you.
just saying.
Daryl, oh my
See,
I'm
god.
just saying.
oh man, I didn't know.
Yeah.
All right, I'm different.
I mean, to keep it, I don't know. And again, it's very, very different. Oh, men do that. Men, brothers, a friend used to do me all the time. We had to put them in their place. I don't know. And the story probably is a little different now. You put them in your place now, right, Ruth? Right. You all put them in all their place. Right, right. I got it.
Because
So,
it's not us, it's the people who we
right,
know.
right. Right. You
People
put
who
them
we
on their
know.
place. Right. No, I'm just saying, a lot of times, sometimes when you get close to somebody, you start to kind of see who they are. You might get more attracted to them. And, you can't mix a lion and a deer. Eventually, that lion going to eat that deer. Sometimes that
Right.
line
I
gets
think we
crossed.
changing the. I think we moving the post. I'm talking
I don't
about
think
you
so.
because you calling
I don't.
somebody your sister. You calling
Right.
somebody
I
your
said,
sister.
yeah, my sister. I was knocking her down. I guess it was incest. I don't
That,
understand what happened. I don't know
No, but sometimes y'all
many.
have that.
Incest.
I don't know many brother sister relationships that are really that. There are some. I'm unicorns. There's
There
Yes.
are
always
some that are
unicorns.
platonic.
Yeah,
No,
there's
there.
Right. There are
some,
some.
but
I might have said there's
I would
unicorns.
there's some, but I would venture to say that in a lot of those instances, somebody wants to sleep with somebody, and they've
Here we go.
accepted the brother sister position.
Position
The
that they
role.
were given, and they gave consent to that. But
Hmm.
should you slip and sneeze just
Hmm.
They
one
gonna
little
slide
bit,
right in.
then I'm gonna just
I
slide right
understand.
on in.
That's what I'm saying. There's no
Mm.
brother sister relationship. It's really she's not giving you some because usually if she says come get it, you're like I'm on my way, sis.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Call me different, call me different, cause I had two young ladies that, and they was attractive, and we used to call each other brothers and sisters. And
No, it
matter of
can
fact, one I
happen.
went to college with, and I used to have my friends always be like, "You trying to tell me she came to you and she had no clothes on, you wouldn't do nothing with her?" I was like, I couldn't, because it was in my mind that I looked at her as like my sister.
Mm.
But
But
think about what you
but
just said.
see, it's a different level though. It went from friendship to now I already said that you need to be friends first. Now I'm giving you another title now of saying
But think about what you said. Even your friends didn't believe your relationship, which means in their
right,
mind they
right,
would have hit
right,
it.
right,
So
right.
it goes to say that most men would take them down. Most men don't believe it to be true because your friends were like, "Yo, we don't believe you." That's what we're saying. So you definitely could have did it, right? You could have did it,
And got kudos
Ruth,
on the
right?
back end.
Right. You could have, and that's great. But most men can't handle that woman just being a friend. And the only reason you're a friend is because she put you in the friend zone, for the most
Oh
part.
no, that didn't happen.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying everybody. Most times it happens. She put you in that friend zone and became your sister because she didn't give you none. I don't know how you became friends in the first place, because like for me, like I don't like it's not a girl I met and like I want to hang out with you, just be cool. I was usually attracted to you, right? There had to be, that's what drew me to you. I'm not getting enough basketball. That's not what I'm doing. So that would, how did it come about? How did it come about that you guys were friends to begin with? All
right, so
there we go.
I mean, all right, being honest, right? She was one of my homies back then, his girl. So when she would be around, we got cool. But we do know there's a lot of brothers that don't even care about that. I'm not even gonna say he was my homie. We was cool. So, you know, we could talk a lot, whatever. I just got to think about me. I can't mess with nobody that I know somehow else dealt with. I just can't do it. It's a wrap with me. But I come to find out that women, I love talking to women just in general because it's something different. Most of the time with men, we're going to talk about a few: women, sports, or cars, pretty much. Women, if I can hold a conversation with a woman, because we ain't going to be talking about those things, it helps me out just to learn how to conversate with people in general. I learned so much just talking to women. Matter of fact, I learned a lot about women just by talking to women. So I was glad that I had those two female, you know, that I can go to and be like, hey, I'm trying to talk to this young lady. She's doing this X, Y, and Z. They'll give me the heads up. Well, you need to try this. Well, she seemed to be. I mean, look, I don't know nothing about a woman. I'm not one. Women got a better idea than I would have. And like the young lady said, maybe I just had boundaries.
And possibly, like that was Miss Ruth that shared that you had boundaries and Daryl get the SMH.
Yes.
As Daryl often gets the SMH. But I think it comes with knowing your personal value, because as it's been shared, you know, in other conversations, is that, and every time I say it, Daryl usually is like, yeah, you can't travel with nobody and not have the expectation. And there are people who you can travel with, and just basically it's not going to be the jump off party. It's definitely the opportunity. However, it's not the intention of us traveling and sharing the same room that has to be the outcome.
Exactly.
I might just need your half to pay the rent, to pay the room there, like, and the toll. Like, that's it.
And you're right. And there are some who, no matter how you lay out the circumstances or how many boundaries you put in place, Daryl, that they're still going to think that this is what it is. This is the jump off point on this vacation.
Right. This is going to jump off.
Show me.
Supposedly.
Show me, tell me. Let's see if you know the no or not.
So when it comes to the consent part, or the lack of consent, where does it become a gray area? Like when it comes to value or lack of value.
Oh. You
go say your first part. If you don't have the second part, say the first part.
Right. So I was going to say where it becomes a problem, I think, when the doc explains that they were doing it out of fear. Right? Big time we start going out. I don't know if so. I mean, that legally could be considered rape because it's about how it's intended. She could say yes or smart, but she's like, I did it because I felt like something would happen. That becomes a problem. So that's why we said fear before, or they were afraid or whatever. I was like, oh, that's different.
Yeah, we might gotta get on the group text for you.
What they say? Yep, they can't hear you, Daryl.
What happened? I missed it. I got.
They said that Daryl can't be heard.
Oh.
His sound check again.
Oh.
So whatever he just said, they didn't hear everything.
Okay.
Did you
And
hear
Camp
him?
was shaking her head.
I did.
Like it was.
I didn't
It was.
hear.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything.
It was
My
hard.
computer started acting crazy. I thought it was my computer. Maybe it was Daryl.
It was just Daryl. Daryl, you know, him and his big mic. It sounds like he might have sound now.
It does sound like it.
Not has God smiled on us, him and his big mic. We can hear you crystal clear now.
I don't know what I have.
Did you want to restate now that you're crystal clear with the simple
No,
headphones?
No, I just wanted to. My big mic is too much for this little thing.
Well, let me give you the full screen then, since you need so much space. Since you need so much space, there you go.
It's a problem I have with my big mic. Little spaces. I can't really handle it sometimes. So I apologize.
Ruth, before you even say it, Ruth, I'm about to mute him. Before you say it, Ruth, in the comments, I'm about to mute him. It's okay. It's okay. So, in the consent of being a friend, go ahead, Daryl. Go ahead,
no,
Daryl.
my question was around the fear. If they did it out of fear, I think that is a concern, and
that is
because if you're doing it out of fear, and if it's fear of losing a relationship, that's a little different. But if you're doing it out of fear of maybe something else, then I think that definitely teeters into another realm. I would think.
So I can't help but thinking about the Law and Order episode last night when this actual situation came up that this woman, I think she was undercover, not quite sure, I don't remember that part, but she was dancing on both sides. She knew her husband had special personality characteristics and he was highly jealous, but she was on this assignment that was causing stress in their relationship. She knew she was in an unsafe situation, but it wasn't unsafe as far as physical abuse, but it was a life or death situation. She knew that at any minute her jealous husband could go off the rocker. And she played the words of how to distract him and disguise what she needed to disguise so that she could sustain her living space and sustain, I guess, all of the privileges that she had with him having access to financial resources. So to me, like that, I mean, okay, so now we have the media encouraging unwanted consensual sex and showing it that it doesn't have to be domestic violence for it to occur, although that could fall into that gray area of that. But like, it's very similar.
But in that case, she didn't.
Like,
wait, but she didn't need that lifestyle, right? She wanted it.
That could be a perception.
So she, I don't know if it's a perception. She wanted that lifestyle.
Her values led her to living that lifestyle.
Okay, so again,
playing that game.
Right. So at that point, to me, that's a decision she's making to do that. She wants this. She could easily say, "I'm gonna go live something a less, a lifestyle not as luxurious," but she's choosing the lifestyle and prostituting her parts at that point.
Now you done went all the way into a gray area.
Is it a gray area? Because if you're using your goods for goods, that's a bartering system, right?
But
you're trading
that's your
something.
value system that you have come to learn to utilize and manipulate.
Okay, so can we say the same thing for prostitutes then? Is that their value system? So we'd have the same conversation for someone who learned to barter her goods to get goods. Why are we trying to make it different? Because one person is, in a, luxurious life and they're trying to pay for it a certain way, and another person is doing it in a lower lifestyle. So we're really parsing words, but it's the same thing, I believe.
Okay.
that's just my personal belief. I'm not just how I feel about it.
No, I'm just I'm digesting what you said, and Doc was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I thought you said something about the lady. But I thought you said something about the lady said she might lose that financial status that their husband was providing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Peace, Omar. How you doing?
Hey, Omar.
So that's to me where, she's actually making a decision to say, I'm going to use this to get this.
Is she, or is she in survival mode?
Well, it could be. It could be. It could be. Right? Like I said, it's a learned behavior, but I would think it's then, we would say, people who do it on the streets or some survival mode as well.
So this just brings something to my memory about the seminar that I went to where they were talking about this. And one of the things that the women who are instrumental in getting this out about unwanted consensual sex, they said that they want women to want the sex and not the things that come with it, like the power or the money.
Right. Understandable.
Okay. So that just your debate with Mary kind of brought that to my mind, because and so from Daryl, from your perspective, it's like she could let those things go, really.
Right. She could. They're not necessities for life. They don't. I mean, she has chosen. Maybe
she has grown to appreciate and live that lifestyle. So therefore, she's doing what she needs to maintain it. It's not necessarily with consent, but she appreciates the gifts and the tokens, and she doesn't appreciate the jealous breaking into my job interview that you bought me this expensive suit to wear, only to come in and mess up the interview.
But she knew it though, right? So I don't know if we know better and not do better. Like she knew how to skate around and control the situation. She learned to do that to keep the lifestyle. Like we're still kind of making it like she's choosing to do and live this way. And again, I'm not saying this right, wrong. I'm saying that she's making some choices here, and she's actually bartering herself to stay in that position. And she's learned how to even almost kind of manipulate him. She knows what she has to do to make him do whatever, or not get too jealous, or maybe get too jealous. Like she's actually controlling a lot of that. She's leading from the back at that point.
But I hear what you're saying, Mary. Like, does she know anything else? Like, if she decides to give that up, then what?
Exactly.
Same thing we would tell a prostitute.
Oh my God.
I'm saying we would tell them the same thing. Listen, you can't keep taking unwanted consensual unwanted sex you're having with these people who are paying for you, right? You keep doing it. We would say, listen, that's not right. Stop doing that. You have to have better self-worth. You need to see more of yourself. You need to respect your body. We would tell all these things.
So you're saying even if it's survival mode, I think Daryl is saying choices still have to be made. If you're talking about your self-worth,
independent of where
you gotta decide what type of life you want to live, even if you've been put in a situation or been accustomed to a lifestyle. You need to get reaccustomed to whatever you can afford.
Or
I guess we're not talking about this.
Or get accustomed to you not using your body as that bartering system, not feeling terrible about doing this. You got to go do this, and you're not feeling good about it. And you're like, I got to do this, but I'm gonna get a Birkin bag, so it's worth it.
So I see the similarities, but I also see the slippery slope. And what the reason of the slippery slope would go back to the core of who the woman is, at like who she is at the core value for herself. No one asked to be a prostitute, just as much as no one really asked to be a high, like in these high living situations. They work hard to get there, but it's like once you get there, you are kind of addicted to that lifestyle. the conversation around a prostitute just being able to stop and change their life around is so codependent on how they're surviving. They don't really understand or know any skill set that they have possibly outside of what they have grown into. And they have other issues that's going on with them that they would have to kind of resolve those before they could even see clearly on how they could break the cycle of living through prostitution.
And remember,
tell me how it's different.
And remember, this is not everyone.
This is not.
No, we never.
This is not everyone.
And I don't want us to get stuck here either. But I'm just saying.
No, it's not.
Not everyone.
So tell me how that's different than the girl who learned to live this way, who maybe not have any other skills. That's why she's living this way, to wait for this man to do everything and give her body. I don't understand how that's different.
Because maybe in her family, intergenerational, that might be the narrative that she was taught on how to value a relationship and value being provided for, even if it is like at risk of safety. Like, and then there could be just so many other things that's happening for her that makes it's not okay. It's never okay, but she feels value in what services that she's providing.
Yeah, I mean that whole narrative of don't mess with somebody if he don't have money.
Right.
If he can't do nothing for you, don't mess with him.
So what is that?
Say that again, Omar.
That's how people are raised.
Right.
Right.
Omar, correct.
Say that again.
That's what we're kind of getting at. Like we're like,
that's what we're getting at.
This woman's her excuse is a little different, but I think it's parallels, right? Everybody has issues, everybody has problems that lead them to do whatever they do, right? And now it may look a little different, right? The vehicle may be different, but it's kind of the same thought process. You know, they're using what they got to get what they want. The oldest form of bartering, they're still doing it. And they may be doing it for Birkin bags, and you may be doing it for $20. Still the same. The concept is still kind of the same. I'm not going to say it's better or worse on either end, right? But when we make it to be different, because it's high end and it looks different, we're almost kind of saying it's a little bit different. It's not as bad as this. When it's kind of, to me, it's like saying when I hear somebody on prescription drugs, like, I'm not a drug addict, I got prescription drugs, and you're abusing them. It's the same thing. You can't look down on somebody else because they're using crack and you're using oxys and you're getting from the doctor. That's the way I look at it. It's kind of you're saying the same thing. That's what I'm saying.
So does consent get thrown out the window because of that?
No, it's still. I mean, it's still the same thing. There's still that unwanted consensual concept, right? I'm not saying that anything changes, but I'm saying it's kind of like it's just kind of the same for me. That's it.
Okay. All right.
And we need to move on. I'm sorry. We stuck here too long.
We do. So I mean, like the other thing was just really trying to going back to the core of the conversation, which is the self-worth part. Like, how do we determine like the self-worth to even have to have the question or the gray areas of what could be an unwanted consensual situation?
Say that again, Mary.
Oh goodness.
Please.
She's like, I lost it. I still want to, I don't know how do we define self-worth?
Right.
That's really, let's start there. How do we define it? And I'm really asking.
That's why I put that question up.
Yeah. How do we define it?
I always think about how you feel about yourself. It's simple in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Right.
But it's also there are times that women do these things like carjack, steal.
Yeah, but
draw people to a situation so that they can get beat up and murdered. Like it's so many other ways in which women are involved in these at-risk situations for survival.
But I think you're saying for the most part, that's a young male, right? So we do have the outliers where women get down, but for the most part, we will look at young males doing that, right?
That's what society wants us to believe, but I'm not going to wear that hat tonight. So we mentioned last week in regards to how self-worth starts at home, but sometimes you have to undo what you learned at home because it's creating havoc in your life as an adult, creating havoc in situations that may look like harassment at work or harassment like in different places. So yes, you do learn it at home, but then where do you draw the line and say, okay, I need to do something different?
Well, it's funny, like you kind of said, even learning at home, where most homes don't know what self-worth is, right? So we have almost a generational type thing where we're just passing down a whole bunch of, I don't know what, we consider self-worth, or, I mean, I don't know. And for a woman too, I'm like, what do you guys consider self-worth? How do you get to that point? And that's my thing. As a man, I can't answer that. I have no idea. But I'm definitely asking, what is self-worth?
I think it's built on the values that you hold. And even, like for myself, when I was younger, it came from education. Because I grew up in the hood, grew up in the projects. So, people around me weren't big on education a lot of times, but that's where that was part of my value system. And that's where, I gained a lot of my self-worth from, because I was very smart.
Right.
And I was good at school. And that was one thing that I hung my hat on as a way to rise up, if you will.
Got you.
To do something different. To do something different.
So that would mean it's very subjective in self-worth, right? If yours was education, what would be someone else's then? How would they determine? Or so I guess you got to find it for yourself. Is that what kind of saying?
I think it's like Mary said, it starts at home. Those influences that are put in you then, that's where it starts. And then at some point, as you go out into the world and you have more experiences, then you might change, some of your value system and what you consider worthy. Sometimes you might not, because I know we see that too.
And then you also see that if you don't recognize the barriers that your understanding of self-worth from a child, when you are at work, it's going to show up and interfere. When you are doing a presentation and somebody comes at you sideways, and that sideways triggers you to something that you haven't dealt with, it's going to show up and interfere with your success in that conversation. If you end up partnering with somebody and they end up triggering you to something that you thought you had tucked away in a suitcase and it wasn't going to come up no more, then you're going to end up spazzing out to the way that you didn't have control to do then, that you feel as though you have control to do now. But will you choose to redefine what value means for you? Because that self-worth has already been tainted. So you have to
how do you really, again, let's have a real conversation. How do we really deal with self-worth women-wise when it's so much inundated through media and TV that shows the opposite, right? And if you were not kind of going with the wave sometimes, you were looked at as outside, less than, not cool, da-da-da-da-da.
How do you, been there.
How do you stand on your square when everything else is saying something? Everything else is saying, show your bodies, turn up, all that. How does that? How do you now? Cause I hear all these things. I got all these great quotes.
But you know what?
But how do you actually do it?
Right? You know what? I think, and back to the home situation and talking about myself. Being someone that loves school, growing up in the projects, that's not being cool. Nobody thought I was cool because I liked school and wanted to make good grades. But then I learned how to code switch. So I was, cool. But I also was a good student.
You were cute, okay? Let's call it what it was.
Daryl, that's what it was.
Right?
And what made
Stop
a difference.
With the nonsense. Nobody cared about what books you knew. They cared about you was cute with good hair.
Yeah.
But in the being cute, anyway, she was also food on the street. Like they wanted to try to distract her from what she was doing.
Yeah. Yes.
They were intentional about what their consent was, no matter.
She was cute and smart, but cute and with nice hair and a body was what got her.
Caught him first.
Nobody cared what books you read. Oh, you get good A's, that's a plus. But you cute, so let's stop it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go real.
Let me throw something out there that they talked about at the seminar. They talked about the theory of constructed emotion and talked about the scientific fact that our brain builds networks, right? Okay. And these networks are based on our experiences and things that happened in our childhood and as we grow up and all of that. And as you were saying, Daryl, we are conditioned.
Right.
From very little, very young, about what it means to be a woman. And what are the kinds of things that you need to do to be attractive and all of that. So what they were saying is that in order to overpower those networks, we have to put something else in there. And that has to be more consistent instead of just a seminar about how to not have sex you don't want to have, because that's not enough.
Right.
I would agree with that.
So at the same time that you're getting these other messages about what it means to be a woman, you need some more empowerment kind of messages.
So balance, but it's not a balance. It's no balance at all. It's skewed way to one side.
Yes,
I mean, way to one side. And you see it. Like he said, the thirst traps are real. Like today it's about likes. Women really, I don't know about men, but I know a lot of women are addicted to likes. They put a picture up, and if they get 10 likes, they're like, what's wrong? They can fall apart. Like,
And depending on how old they are, they'll take it down. And wait a couple hours and post it back up at a different time to see if at a different time they're gonna get more than they got the first time.
They hope
and it's like adrenaline. It's like adrenaline.
Well, it is. Well, it's actually almost affirmation. You want to this picture to affirm who you are, and the more likes you get, the more you feel better about yourself.
Yes.
So if you get 200-300 likes, you are like, I'm her.
Feeling myself.
I am here. Right. So that has everything slanted where women are looking at themselves differently, and their pictures are getting more and more. What normally would be a picture, now it's like this all the time. They got the thirst pictures out where they have everything out, leading with the butt first. You don't know what the face look like no more. And now with these filters, they're really killing the game.
True.
Definitely killing the game.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, you don't know who you are anymore. You don't even believe who you are. You got to take a picture to not even be you, to post it to get men to find out that I want the girl in the picture. That's not her. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what we're dealing with as far as society is leading the way for what we feel as, or even what we want as men, is dictated by these thirst traps. Because there's 300 men, 400 men who liking that picture. So they're conditioned to be ready for that picture to go up. Oh, she put a like, hey, hey, beautiful, hey, sunshine. Like, this is crazy what goes on now. This is, but that's real. But that's how things are, and it's becoming very, very super superficial. Super superficial.
And it's crazy because it seems less empowering. Like that's not, what. It's not like empowerment is the movement.
Yeah, Omar, we might have said that right before you hopped on, how, people define themselves by being sexy from the different angles, and it's not normally from front facing. It's usually
they know their right
they
side.
Accentuating what they feel is going to attract.
Side.
Yeah.
Best side.
Hey, listen, we got people who are full producers. Their picture is produced. They got lighting, they got makeup, they have a whole setup in their house just for one picture. Or one every 5 minutes, however they do them. Some of them pump them out. It's crazy. And this is what they do. And they become almost their own brand. Everybody's their own brand right now. You know what I mean? And
is he frozen?
Yep.
Oh, not that you got frozen in the middle of your statement.
Intently.
I'm sorry, there's a whole bunch of knockoffs out there. All these fake people, a whole bunch of knockoffs.
Hey, Omar is on it tonight. He's mentioning all the things that they talked about in that seminar that I went to. They even brought up the feminist movement. They were saying that, prior to that, because assaults on women has always been around.
Right.
And they were talking about prior to the feminist movement, men that cared about women protected women.
Right.
So, they would protect women to try to keep the assaults down. Mm-hmm. But then during the feminist movement, women said, hey, we don't need your protection.
Wow.
And so they lost some of that, but the assaults continue.
Exactly. And continue.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Verbal, physical, emotional, mental.
Yeah.
But let's get one thing clear. The assaults wasn't as bad as we think they were back then.
You think so? Where you get that from?
Yeah, I don't know that to be true.
Really?
Y'all really think it was that bad?
Oh, absolutely. That's the reason why. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why it was really bad.
It was worse.
HBCUs was created by the colonizers because they had too many brown children, but they didn't want the brown children to go to the same schools as the colonizers so that they could still have an adequate education. They created and are on the board and on the charter of all HBCUs.
Correct. And that's why you have land grants and everything else to protect the properties, protect the population, the generations that come through the colonizers.
Wait a minute. I was talking about the physical abuse.
No. We talking about the sexual assault
and
physical assault. He ain't like that statement. You ain't like that statement.
I thought I heard physical abuse. That's what I was speaking on.
Oh.
I think physical abuse was, it just was more kept in the home. That was more what happened in the home stayed in the home. Mm-hmm. Today, more people are speaking out because they have the feminist movement where women are speaking out more, right? So before you just took it. It was almost commonplace. Like you could do it. And he's beating his wife. Ain't nobody called the cops as much. It just happened. Now, again, like everything's on film. Everybody's talking, internet. It's just we hear about it more now. But I think back then it was worse because you took it. It happened more, and it was like no repercussions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now it's a little different. So I definitely believe it was a lot worse back then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Daryl said, that was private between a man and his woman.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And no one had the right to step into that.
Mm-mm. Think about
if he was bringing the money home.
Even if she was bringing the money home. Think about like every movie, like we've seen the Aretha Franklin movie, we've seen the Tina Turner movie, all those movies.
The Help.
The men were going up top on these women who were the breadwinners, but they had to control some type of way. And that's what they used, physical means to control the situation. And the women took it. The women were making the money and they took it for the most part, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes from the living room in the home. We don't want to talk about that.
Right, Omar. I agree, Omar.
Yes.
Billy Howard, absolutely. You hear it time and time again where they had, even though they were doing everything, making the money, the men were going up top.
Definitely the response was different.
Absolutely.
And the response is much different now, where sometimes the state has to protect a woman from herself.
Right.
Because the state will take over some of these cases where the woman say, I'm not pressing charges.
Right. They'll pick it up.
And they keep going back.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would be some suggestions or interventions or ways in which we can continue to educate ourselves? We can continue to instill like worth into individuals that we come in contact with to help break this cycle that has permeated our communities for so long.
I mean, personally, I am now talking about it with the people I interact with, with the clients and the patients that I see. As I had mentioned last week, I haven't come across one woman yet who said that this hasn't happened. Well, so we're talking about it now, and talking about things that they can do differently. And then, talking to the young people in our lives is important.
I would agree with that.
I posted a post in our group earlier this week where it says protect our daughters, and the person crossed it out and it says educate our sons. So it's not just about telling women how to not have unwanted consensual sex, but it's also talking to the young men about how not to be that person.
And how much engagement did you get on that post?
Not many. Not many.
That part.
Yes.
I didn't particularly like the post.
But to go along with Doc, it's starting early and earlier, even when it comes about that whole interaction between men and just women, boys and girls. However, out here just every day, it's starting earlier, like upper elementary, middle school. The last couple of years, personally, as an educator, I've just had to step in and just take it. So whatever they're given, like even coming from the male or female, to educate both at the same time about assaults and just the whole communication about sexual advances, like just the word no, simply, because even at that age, no is not a no. It can be on either side.
Right.
So just really having a core of us, adults, step in and say something, and we say something every time we see it. We don't ignore it. We don't walk away and act like we didn't see it. So that kind of has reduced some numbers, but one day and one young person at a time.
So I concur. I think that education and talking about it, right? Because this was before, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, I didn't even know this was a thing. It didn't have a title, it didn't have a name, it didn't have a theme. So by learning it and we talk about it and we put it out there, I think people start saying, wait a minute, that happened to me. Or I was in something like that. Oh, that's not okay. And when we start talking about it and saying these things are not okay, and you let your nose be nose, that may help someone, right? And we do have to start just educating and talking about things at all ages to learn that this is something that we can say no to. And boys, if someone says no, just stop. Let's not play these games. We got to teach people, don't play the no game. Don't play the, I'm gonna say no, but I mean yes. We just have to teach each other not to fall into that game, and then it makes our no's be no's and our yeses be yeses.
So the comment that Omar just made, and us and kind of answering what the next steps would be that we would do. How do we educate around the music that we hear that informs us differently on how a woman's self-worth is supposed to be?
So again, I think this is why you need to know what your kids are listening to, right? You got to listen to these songs. So educate, so you know what's going on in the songs, and you can counteract what's going on in the song. First, edit the song that's not really real life, right? That's not what you do. Because if you don't know what your kids are listening to, you may not like it, but you need to listen to the words so you understand what they're getting indoctrinated to. When you try to ignore and put your head in the ground like ostrich, you let your kids learn by themselves. We have to, again, you got to be on TikTok. All those things you don't like, if you have kids, you need to be on those things. See what they're seeing.
If you're the fun auntie or the fun uncle, you got to be on it.
Listen, even if you're not the fun, you got to be on it. Because if you have kids, this is what they're doing, and this is indoctrinating your kids into whatever they're going to be. You have to be able to counteract everything that's on there. You got to be like, oh, this is what they said. Well, that's not really true. That's for TikTok, that's for games. This is what you should be doing, right? Because if you just say, if you talk to your kids, that may outdo some of the things they're being indoctrinated to. Because anything without resistance becomes the truth.
Yes.
So you have to be that resistance. So if you're not in everything your kids are in, then you're not being a responsible parent.
Yep. As we're talking about brain development, you have to be that counter to make those new neural pathways.
Right.
Parents.
So do real life dictate music, or music dictate real life?
It depends on the situation, who you are. Because some of the kids you talk to, that music is real life. They follow that
Grand
music.
Theft Auto is real life.
That
That
becomes
is
their
real life.
that becomes their Bible. And you know it is real. I remember I used to play Need for Speed all the time. And a couple of times when a cop got behind me, I wanted to run. I wanted to take off. Like, wow, this is real life. What am I doing? So it does become real sometimes. You play this all the time. It's in your brain. So you have to understand, if your children don't, we can't say, I hate that when people say, oh, you know better. They don't, right? They don't. They don't know better until you teach them over and over and over to do better. So when they hear that music, more than they hear you, that music wins.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Omar, you took the words right out of my mouth. You took the words right out of my
Come
mouth.
with your food. She bring your food. Now.
You know, I think these children are smart enough to know I confront in front of my parents, but when I go back outside.
No, that's right.
This conversation is different though. Like, yes, they're going to be one way in front of their friends, but you, as the responsible adult, still need to be having the conversations. You're not going to be able to protect them from what's happening out there on the streets. They in these streets, but you need to educate them on what's the reality and what's
of the streets.
Right. You got to remember, at the end of the day, it's their choice. Just like when we were kids, right? You know, we did our dirt, but I knew, for me, my mother instilled some things where I wouldn't go cross certain lines. I wouldn't do certain things because I'm like, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? So not that we're going to save our kids from everything, but we can save them from some things by educating them. And they may be able to say, you know, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to follow you here. You know, I'm not going to do this. We just want to give our kids the opportunity, give them the best chances to win. That's what we want to do. We want to put them in a position to win. They ultimately have to make a decision. We can't make it for them, but I'm going to give them as much information as I can all the time so she has the knowledge and hopefully uses it. If she doesn't, okay. But all you can do is feed them and feed them. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully those pathways, they link up and it becomes something that will, when they go out there and they face a situation, they'll make the right decision. That's all we can do.
The reality is, what you put in there is in there. What you don't put in there is not there.
Correct.
And Omar, what I say, if the streets talk more, that's because your kids are on the street more, right?
Right. The supervision is less.
You need to make sure your kids are doing something constructive. If you're letting your
no,
kids
but I know what my brother talking about though. It's
so what's
not
he talking about?
See, when I'm hearing everybody talking about, we making everything about my problem. You know, this my home, my children. It should be more about the community. The community really raised more of the children than I think that come from the home.
I'm sorry.
I mean, think about look at the time when we made our most progress, whatever, in the 60s, 50s, in the 60s. It was all about unity. It was all about the people coming together. So now the problem I see is it's hard for me to even say something to your child, Daryl. You might be teaching him something in the home, and he come outside and do something. And I feel like I can't say nothing to him because I'm at to confront you. Me and you might go to blows for you saying, why
See,
you
now
No, I hear what he's saying, but that doesn't matter to me because all the kids know me. I'm the same all throughout, right? I work with kids all the time. I'm the same all the time. They know I'm going to be on them. They know I'm going to say the same things over and over again. If I see your kid outside doing something wrong, I'm like, hey, yo, cut that out. Stop that, right? I'm going to speak because for me, I want to say something to that kid. I want to be, especially as a black man, I want to show them something different, right? So if I got to meet with you, if I got to meet with your mom and dad because I said something, then that's what it's going to be, right? I don't fear no man, but I can't sit there and see a kid go astray and me just not say anything, right? I constantly say something to everybody, whatever kid, if I see him doing something. Now, I'm not going to be like, I'm going to say it in a way that I'm not here to disrespect anybody either. But I'm like, yo, young man, young boy, you shouldn't be doing that. Come on, man. You shouldn't be doing that. You feel me? We're going to say something. We're not going to just let that go, right? And if the parent comes like, yo, your young boy was doing such and such, most of the time they're like, oh, yo, he shouldn't have been doing that, right? Because you're right. Most of the times as soon as you talk to them, they will.
Without a doubt.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
Without a doubt. But that's
all day now. I'm in the hood all day, man. I work in there, right? And I work with these youth. So I'm saying I do this every day. This is what I do. So I'm going to continue to talk to them. And
I do that all day, every day.
Right. So
I do that all day, every day. I talk
to
any and everybody. But the one thing I speak about is the collective. I talk about all of us trying to get together. And I get so much pushback because everybody always talking about, I had my cousin last week talking about, you gotta roll, you gotta roll with the time. It's different now. And I'm like, yo, we're not getting nowhere when we act like individuals. How do we grow as a community was when we got together.
You're right. And there is no community anymore, right? So it's facts. There is no community. And that's the problem, the breakdown in the community, which is has these kids really going astray. Like you said, you may have a couple people, which is tough. Like you said, it is only a couple people saying these things, right?
Go ahead, Daryl.
Okay, Mary, I'm sorry.
But that's what I was talking about. But that's my issue. I don't have the feminist movement. Like that started off the breakdown of our community. I mean, keeping it honest, because the fight was that white woman having an issue with her counterpart.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
So the breakdown of the family.
So I'm just saying, when you,
I ain't want to take so much time, but I can break that down. I can break that down. I agree
with Yolanda, though. You have to plant those seeds. That's the bottom line. And your kids, and and when they go out in the streets, you can't always be there, but that whatever you put in there, they know. I mean, I've heard even when my daughter was a teenager, I might overhear a conversation where she telling her friend something I told her. Right. So when you put that stuff in them, they hear it. Mm-hmm. They hear it. Mm-hmm. Your job is to set that foundation so that they go out into the world and know how to act.
Right. But it's a way that we need to learn how to communicate with our children too. One thing I really noticed when I talk to children is they tell me all the time is, damn, Mr. T, you really listen to us. I think a lot of adults look at children and be like, no, I know better, take it my way, and that's it.
Right.
They don't sit there.
And they feel like they don't have nobody.
They feel like they don't have a say.
They don't have nobody to talk to.
So it's not talking at them or to them. It's talking with them.
Mm-hmm. Like my daughters literally told me, Daddy, I feel so comfortable I could talk to you about anything because I'm not going to get upset. First thing first. They know I'm not going to get upset. They can talk
a lot of times parents are afraid to foster power and independence in their children.
Mm-hmm. Or don't know how to.
Or don't know how to.
You don't know how to.
Because it's not a part of their construct as far as what they knew. And then inviting the voices of the community who are out here in these streets, they be like, well, I don't want everybody in my business. That's where we go wrong. Like you need some people in your business.
Accountability.
Support you in a way that your skill set has limitations. Like that's the reason why they know how to do what they do is because that's what
I agree with that.
You want to say, oh no, don't be in my business. Don't be telling people stuff. Why I gotta come up to this school for this? You doing too much. You embarrassing.
Or the way of thought that, well, I'm here, I'm good. The way I was raised, I'm raised the same way my mom raised me because I'm good.
I hear that a lot.
But what is good, and that's the problem. We have to be comfortable learning new ways to parent, other ways to parent. Unfortunately, parents are hands off. They let the streets. What do you mean hands off? You mean you uppercutting and wheel kicking your kids?
No, they like hands off. Like
they done.
Yeah, they either fearful of their own children,
or they just like I'm done like, teaching you right now.
Attention.
Got this.
And so I think what I see a lot too is people want to parent their kids when they turn 7 or 8. Because when they were 1, 2, and 3, and they was running around here cussing, it was so cute. It was cute. Look at man. Oh, look at little peaches. You know what I mean? That was cute. Now they 7 or 8, and they stuck in those ways, and you want to change them. We gotta start making it normalized parenting from 0 on up. Being a parent the whole time.
Adulthood.
Well, you beat me to the punch with that one. You beat me to the punch with that one.
But parenting never stops.
No.
It just changes course, but it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I think
and hopefully the maturity of the parent is open to the fact that every season is going to look different for how they show up as a parent to meet the needs of their child.
Right. And we have to stop
and no two children in the house is the same. I'm sorry.
That's so true.
Let's stop normalizing just because you have a kid, you know how to parent. I got a pic. I had him, didn't I?
True, right?
He was with me 9 months. I know what to do. Hey, listen, stop. Let's not normalize that. Like you, parent is something you have to learn to do, and understand we have to learn. It's some innate things, but learn how to do things. It's okay. It's okay to learn different strategies to help. If something's not working, let's try something different, right? Even if people who are beating their kids all the time, it ain't working. Do something different, right?
And you gonna know it all.
And get off of that default. It was good enough for me.
Right.
That sounds like traumatic and
it is trauma.
Right. It's basically saying I went through it, you gonna go through it.
I'm like, you're not pledging your kids, okay?
Right.
That part.
So it's a lot to learn, and it's okay to learn, and we can't keep doing the same things for attitude different for us.
I mean, and so like all of what we like these last couple minutes and what we sharing in regards to like, how children are influenced by different communities or music or the voices that they're encountering inform how they get into unwanted consensual type situations when they begin navigating like decisions and conflict resolution and like negotiating relationships. All of that comes from what that looked like during those other times that we just went through. Like all of that is formed and shaped. Like you're depositing in to the puzzle pieces, and if it's puzzle pieces that's missing, they're gonna get that information from somewhere else.
Right.
But you always have to be contributing to how it is that they will they'll have to make their choices on their own, and hopefully you have given them a toolkit that they can sustain whatever, because society is a social construct. You can
Absolutely
follow it or not. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it's easier to follow it. It's harder to be the unicorn.
Yes.
I love being the unicorn.
I stand to being a unicorn. I'm okay.
No different than a unicorn.
Right?
Sorry.
Right.
I'm
okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Everybody's a unicorn now.
No, not everybody.
I mean, no, I know everybody on here, yes. I'm not saying you guys aren't unicorns. Everybody else. Everybody else. Some of your friends. Some of your friends may not be unicorns, but everybody on here, unicorns.
Sometimes you just want to slap
unicorns. Some of my friends are not unicorns.
Right. Not all your friends. Some of them. I got you. Not you guys.
Oh my goodness.
Luke says she's a unicorn too. We exist.
That's right.
Right. Okay. Hey, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna agree.
So since Daryl agrees, we might as well take that opportunity right here and now to put the button in the situation. And thank you all for joining us for another Friday night spicy conversation with the Sip and Chat. And we look forward to seeing you next time with a lovely conversation.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.